But this idea of an elevator pitch, I want to give a little bit of background on it and maybe some context around why concise communication in sales and for that matter in being a startup founder are so crucial. When you're trying to raise money or when you're trying to convince someone to take a follow-on meeting or you're trying to get that customer engagement and appointment going, these are typically very busy people that have limited amounts of time. So it's incumbent upon you as the entrepreneur to be able to concisely communicate why they should take more time with you. So the point of an elevator pitch is not typically that they're going to write you a check after they listen to you for 60 or 90 seconds, but it's that they're going to take more time and have you come do a formal presentation. And so where did all this come from? Probably 30 years ago plus, the idea of an elevator pitch arose from what was happening on a place called Sand Hill Road in Silicon Valley, and that was a place where a lot of the venture capital firms were located. And what would happen oftentimes is the entrepreneurs would kind of be cruising that parking lot quite literally, and they would see somebody important from Sequoia Capital or Kleiner or whoever it might be, and they would see that they were walking into the building, and these people are inundated. It was almost like the paparazzi of entrepreneurs coming after the venture capital folks. And inevitably, they'd get an opportunity to jump on the elevator with one of these venture capital fund managers. And the fund manager would say, listen, I'm on the fourth floor. You've got from right now on the ground floor to the floor to let me know why I should pay attention to anything else you have to say. And so it was incumbent upon them to kind of get to the point. And we're going to go through the elements of that and why it's critical. You would think with less time, it'd be easier. Elevator pitch is probably the hardest pitch you'll ever have to do because it has to be concise, it has to be to the point, and it has to get to that objective, which is a larger, longer meeting so that you can talk more about your business, your venture, your offering, etc. Next slide, please. So, when you hear the word pitch, what typically comes to mind? I mean, what do you think about when you hear that? It's a wind up, it's something where you might think of things like Shark Tank and whatnot, but go ahead, go on to the next one, Chris. The idea is you're trying to engage people very quickly with who you are, what you do, what need you're covering, the sorts of things that you're able to provide them. And it's super important. Journalistically, a lot of times we'll say, gee, it was a great article, but they hid the lead. And what they mean by that is you give them a whole bunch of information up front, and you got to be 3 or 4 paragraphs down to figure out the point of why they were telling you it. That's not what you want to do. You want to lead with the lead. It needs to be in the front end and at the top. And then you can build support for why, once you've got them hooked on what you're saying, for everything else that you want them to do. Go ahead to the next one. So now we're going to have somebody that's in this game give you a sample elevator pitch. You're going to hear from Kristen. She's going to actually take you through an elevator pitch on her business. So we'll go ahead and do that at this point. Over to
Awesome.
you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks for the invitation. So I will give an elevator pitch, but I'm Kristen Brogard, co-founder and chief scientific officer at Path Fertility, and happy to share this opportunity. And it was a really good experience to write it down. And so I really enjoyed this opportunity. So happy to answer any questions. So I'll start. Male fertility is a women's health issue. So when a man goes undiagnosed and is infertile, women endure treatments that will absolutely not work. And this is crazy because we know that up to 30% of infertile men go undiagnosed. Path Fertility has solved this problem by developing a novel diagnostic for male infertility called Sperm QT for the sperm quality test. Sperm QT identifies infertile men who are missed by the standard semen analysis. And by utilization of Sperm QT early in a patient's fertility journey, self-insured employers and healthcare professionals can reduce ineffective fertility treatments, lower cost, and enhance employee well-being by ensuring patients get to the right fertility treatment. That's it.
I
Oh,
I have to chime in here real quick. So the reason we invited Krista to do this today is I've heard her co-founder Andy share this pitch before, and the reason why this pitch is so compelling is I've seen firsthand and listened to uh, Andy stand up front and say that male infertility is a women's health issue, and hear audible gasps from the audience. It is the perfect attention getter. It has enough shock value to pick people's interest, and I absolutely love it. And you guys have done a killer job really refining that pitch to make it direct to the point and compelling with that opening line. So just want to thank you, Kristen. I know you've probably got to jump off to another call in a few minutes, but we appreciate you sharing Path Fertility's perfect elevator pitch. So thank you.
and
Thank you for the opportunity.
and Kristen was one of the superstars, Kristen and Andy both, of the Fuel Health Tech Accelerator we ran some time back, and they liked it so well they actually made Bentonville, Northwest Arkansas, the home for the business. So super excited with all that you're doing. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to hop. I have some calls with some
Yep.
fertility physicians, but thanks for the opportunity, and I hope everyone enjoys this meeting. All right, bye.
See ya.
Thanks, Kristen.
So if you think about an elevator pitch, it's really that kind of movie trailer for your business or your idea. You think about the movies that you've really enjoyed. I like all of the Top Gun stuff. I can't help it. But if you think the flying scenes in there, the little snippets of the dialogue, that's the thing that draws someone in. It's not sort of the end game, as we said, but it's the thing that will draw you in to say, gee, that's interesting. I'd like to hear more about that. Go on to the next one. And so how do you do that well? You've got an impact statement. A lot of times you really want to make a strong emotional connection right off the bat. And sometimes you can do that by personalizing the story. As an example, there was a company some years back that was, it became Ascendant Health actually, and became Navita Labs after that. But it was originally called Tears for Life. And it was a graduate entrepreneurship uh, student team, MBA team, actually master's team, graduate team from the University of Arkansas. And they started out by telling the story about how 50% compliance rate on mammography led to lots and lots of missed diagnoses for breast cancer. And they told a very specific story in just a few seconds about how this impacted one young woman that when she did go in for the mammography was already at stage 4.
Mm.
Whereas if they'd used human tears and a little litmus test, they could have caught it based on a protein marker. So the point is that impact statement personalizes very quickly, makes it something relatable that people can understand. And you notice that with Kristen, how well she did that. That opening line about male fertility being a women's health issue. And part of the rest of that story would be it's largely because the other treatments they try, if it's a male issue, are completely ineffective unless they go the route of what they're doing. So you have the impact statement. The next thing you're going to do is have a summary sentence, and then you build supporting points. So a way to also think about the elevator pitch is if I said, you got 90 seconds. I want you to go read the front page of the Democrat Gazette and give me a quick summary of everything that matters. Just imagine if you could have Chat GPT do that, for example. All it's going to be able to do if it got 60 or 90 seconds is to give a headline and a supporting fact or two. That's kind of the same thing that you're trying to do in an elevator pitch. It's the outline of the larger story. Go ahead to the next one. So we'll go through some sort of fictional examples from brands that you know and love next. And this one may look pretty familiar. Ever wish your life had a soundtrack? And we've got you, whether you're pulling an all-nighter, pretending to work out, or crying over your ex. Unlimited music, killer playlist, and podcast for when you want to feel smart. Try premium or suffer through ads about car insurance you can't afford. So who might that be for?
We
Any
got
guess?
any guesses from the audience?
Just
Spotify.
you got it.
There we go.
Spotify, that's right. That's exactly right. And these are shorter than the time that you have if you're a Governor's Cup competitor. But what we'll also tell you, just like there can be different lengths of full presentations, You need to be prepared with 15-second elevator pitch, 30-second elevator pitch, 60-second elevator pitch, or a 90-second elevator pitch. And you don't just add in more kind of word salad, you add in more details that help build the case depending upon the time you have. So here's another one. Sleep is for the weak, and you've got deadlines to meet. Our drink fuels your all-nighters, study sessions, and questionable life choices. It tastes like liquid adrenaline and makes you feel like you can fight a bear. Please don't
Red
act.
Bull.
Yeah, exactly. Red Bull. And you might, it might also, we could have given it away by saying it'll give you wings, right? But
I know that's right.
exactly, exactly. So that's another one. On to the next one here. Nobody carries cash, and let's be real, you owe your friends money. We make it stupidly simple, stupidly easy to get paid back or send them a request with a passive aggressive pizza emoji. No more, I'll get you next time. Just tap send and keep your friendships intact. Who might that be?
Cash out.
Let's see.
Venmo,
Venmo.
maybe.
Yeah.
Same thing.
It could have been Venmo, could have been Zelle, could have been PayPal, but exactly. I mean, you get the point. These quickly convey this is the problem. This is how we're gonna solve the problem. This is why you need to care. Here's one more. Want to learn a new language, but have the attention span of a goldfish, or in my case, a gnat? Our platform makes it fun, fast, and low-key addictive. Crush daily streaks, impress your crush, and avoid the wrath of our very aggressive owl. Plus, it's free because education should be. Who's this one? Any guesses? There you go. Duolingo. So these give you good examples of short impact statements that that are really a good start for the beginning of an elevator pitch. You want to nail that first sentence. It's got to be strong and memorable. Another way to think about this, as you're writing your executive summary for your business plan, assuming you do an executive summary, and that's something is another exercise in concise communication. If you haven't nailed the first sentence, I'll give it to you from a standpoint of a venture capitalist. We see 1,000 deals a year. If I don't get excited by the first sentence or two that you have written, I'm probably not going to read anything else. The same thing is true with an elevator pitch. Nail that first sentence. It's got to be really, really compelling. It's got to be something that's memorable. It's got to be something that will draw the audience in. It's a wow or an impact statement. It doesn't have to be too cheeky or cheesy, but it does need to be something where they say, oh, I'm going to pay attention. This is interesting. The goal is you're getting them to stay tuned in for the rest of what you're about to say. Next slide, Chris. So here's some more examples. Imagine a state with over 200 days of sunshine, 600,000 acres of lakes, and over half the state is covered in forest land. Did you know that 47 hot springs flow from Hot Springs Mountain at an average temperature of 143 degrees? So these are some interesting stats about what state? Any guesses? Well, it's our home state of Arkansas, actually. Go on to the next one. And the metaphor for some of that, sometimes it's good to have these sorts of statements, not just in your elevator pitch, but in your executive summary or in your presentation. Some people think of Arkansas as Colorado light. We've got the mountains, we've got the outdoors, nice quality of life. If you were thinking about the area around Ozark and Altus, you might say we're the Napa Valley of Arkansas in those areas. Another thing is Aliens, the movie Aliens is Jaws in space. So these are all metaphors or examples of ways that you can take something familiar and compare it to what you're doing. And the reason you might want to do that, and if you've gone through the lean canvas exercise, you'll notice that that is something that's typically called out as part of the unique value proposition, is it allows you to communicate something that's familiar with what you're trying to do so that people get, oh, I get it. I understand what you're trying to say. Next one, Chris. The other thing is you really are telling a story, even though you're compressing it in a short amount of time. Good storytellers will draw you in. And the way you do it is with really compelling statements that allow people to visualize the images of what you're saying. This is a good one here. The Little Rock Nine changed the face of civil rights movement when they walked into Little Rock Central High School after Brown versus the Board of Education ruled segregation unconstitutional. immediately you can picture all those scenes that we've all heard about and seen replayed about what that must have been like. It's going to draw the audience into wanting to know more about what you're going to say. Next one. So summary sentence. Let's go through that a little bit. This is kind of a way of capturing the whole business in a summary so that people can understand it. And the way we've sort of broken this down is our business or product, so whatever it is that you do, is the perfect solution for this is who we serve. So those are the customers. Think about this a little bit from Lean Canvas. Our business or product, that's kind of what we do, is the perfect solution for these are the customers, our key stakeholders, because of our unique value proposition, and then you provide supporting points. So I'm going to give you an example of this that might be compelling. How many of you everybody has heard of Save Money and Live Better, right? The tagline for Walmart, Save Money and Live Better. But that particular short tagline plays to a much larger summary statement, their mission statement or their purpose. And it kind of goes like this. At Walmart, we strive to help our customers on a worldwide basis save money and live better by providing everyday low pricing through the world's most efficient supply chain. So that ties the whole thing together, right? It's still one easy to comprehend, understandable statement, but it's a summary statement that talks about this is our product, this is what we do. These are our key stakeholders and maybe where they are. This is our unique way of doing it, everyday low pricing, world's most efficient supply chain, and you've got some supporting facts there as well. Make sense? Let's go on to the next one. So an effective pitch, you got to communicate what you do plus the unique value proposition to your key stakeholders. You really important to understand who your audience is. So typically you'll have potentially 3 different audiences, but don't ever assume who it is. You've got to really do your audience analysis to understand. It could be investors, it could be customers, it could even be potential new team members. And you tailor your pitch, your elevator pitch, to talk to that audience. It needs to be clear, concise, and compelling. You want to practice an elevator pitch to the extent that it's second nature and it doesn't sound rehearsed. You could do it right off the top of your head at any particular moment. As an example, I was on a call, and I'm not claiming to be an expert at this, right? But I was on a call with a potential partner, a law firm that wanted to work with us. And they said, well, I want to hear more about Startup Junkie. And I rambled through 60-second summary of the last 16 years. And one of the guys asked me, he said, were you reading from a script? And I was like, no, I mean, I've just had to do that 10,000 times. And I'm practiced enough to where I can kind of go through it in a logical way. So the key with any kind of pitch is you practice it so much that it's second nature in a way that it doesn't matter if you use exactly the same words every time. You're going to hit the key messages in a way that conveys the meaning you want to convey every single time. So it feels conversational when you do it. Next one. This is really important. And for some of you who have gone through any kind of process where you want to think about the key stakeholders, it's important to go through and figure out who are your ideal customers. And by that, I mean specifically your customers, your stakeholders. Who are they by job title, by position? So you're thinking about them in terms of a customer persona and maybe in terms of the power map of whatever organization they're in. So in some case, you're doing a presentation, your stakeholders in that particular presentation might be the judges at the Governor's Cup. So you're going to want to understand, we have some people there with accounting background. We have some people there with a healthcare background. We have some people with a scientific background. So it's important to understand who those stakeholders are and kind of by position. You want to understand what they're going to be hearing from the words that you say. And sometimes they hear things differently than what you think you said based on their understanding. So understanding who your key stakeholders is really important. Next slide. Unique value proposition. Sometimes this gets people hung up. We went through this a little bit with what I said about Walmart, but this is a way that you can allow people to understand the product, the service, the value that you provide and who you provide it to, and how it's different than what anyone else might do. So this requires a lot of times a significant amount of effort to get that unique value proposition down. Your audience will be less interested in something that feels same as everything else that they've heard. So they want to know, why should I continue to pay attention to you? I mean, it can't just be on the basis of we're going to provide better price. It needs to be something that's differentiated and remarkable so that they're going to want to listen to what you have to say. Next one. And I think this is an opportunity to maybe do a little bit of a go round here, right? Is that kind of what we had in mind here, Chris?
Yep.
Let's do it. If anybody wants to talk about what you think your UVP, your unique value proposition is, go ahead and speak up, and we'll go through a couple of examples. Who's got one they want to share? Unique value proposition. I'm gonna pick on you, William, because I can see you. What's the unique value proposition for what you all are doing in your Governor's Cup work?
Sure, definitely. So, well, pretty much our business takes clothes, right? That, for example, anyone could have a sweater in their closet that they no longer use, right? So you can send that sweater to us, and we'll turn it into a bed for your dog or for your cat, right? So, having said that, our unique value proposition is the personalization of an item, turning a sweater that, for example, could have been a sweater from your dad or a sweater from your grandfather, something like that, and turning them into something for your dog, for your cat, even any kind of pet, right? So it is basically the feature of the personalization, the connection that this clothing item has with you, and now you share that with your pet.
Got it. So the product is, you're taking something familiar that you already have, and you're recycling it or reusing it or changing it into something else useful for your pets. Got it. Well, and the key thing with that is to think about telling that story really succinctly, and you did a pretty good job there, but continuing to kind of practice that a little bit to where it's, imagine this, you've got this, maybe it's an ugly sweater from Christmas and you want to turn it into, and you got a lot of good memories from Christmas parties, and you want to turn it into something that will be meaningful forever that your pet can use. So, I mean, that's very cool. Any other examples? Anybody else want to give it a shot? Good job, William. Don't be shy. If not, we'll keep moving. I won't put everybody on the spot.
I'll try one for UQS.
Sure.
UQS is a fully virtual post-acute primary care model, and that we provide the same level of care as a rehab support center or an inpatient facility without the cost, the barriers, or the inconvenience of travel. And by leveraging telemedicine and AI, in the hub and spoke model, we ensure that the patients, especially in the rural and urban underserved markets, recover safely at home while reducing hospital readmissions and improving care outcomes.
Awesome. Now that was great. And you had all the key components there. I mean, the trick on stuff that is highly technical, depending upon your audience, is to figure out how you can tell it in a way that a sixth grader could understand it, right? Or that your grandmother could understand it. Now, you didn't use a lot of jargon, but things like post-acute and whatnot, unless you're in the healthcare profession, you might not know what that is. So really, depending upon your audience, you might tailor some of those words, but that was great. You had all the pieces in there.
All right, thank you.
You bet. Next up, anybody? Okay, I think we're moving the train along here. Chris is giving me the cue. So the summary sentence is, it has these kind of components in it. Our community is the perfect place for these stakeholders because our UVP through supporting points. So again, this is a little bit of a reiteration that is building the case around what you do. Whereas you've kind of shocked them on the impact statement. When you have the summary sentence, you're trying to tie it all together. And it's good to have 3 clear, compelling, and concise points that speak to your key stakeholders and explain your UVP. So one of the ways to think about that is most people, when they buy something, are not actually buying features, they're buying benefits. So when we talk about 3 clear, compelling points, this is where you bring out the benefits of what you're doing. From the case I gave about save money and live better, that is sort of the benefit. So why should I care if I'm a customer on a worldwide basis about what Walmart does? Well, I'm going to spend less money and I'm going to get great products. That's a benefit. People tend to be convinced more by benefits than features. So if you can bring that out when you're doing your supporting points for your UVP, it's super helpful. Keep going. Okay, the hook. This is one thing that some people forget to do. They'll go through a really compelling upfront statement. They'll do a good summary statement, and then it'll just kind of end. Don't ever get in front of people with an opportunity to present, whether it's an elevator pitch or otherwise, without having an ask at the end. And the ask isn't always about money. The ask can be, and here's where I need your help. Or if you'd like to hear more, I'd love to schedule a meeting with you. Always conclude at the end. This is your call to action, what you want people to do. So you go through all those other pieces, and at the end you say, and here's what we need to do next. In many cases, when you're doing the elevator pitch, it's going to be, I'd really like to come to your office and give you more detailed presentation. Or if you think this is interesting enough, I'll give you access to my data room. Or I'd like to have my team follow up with you, but always conclude with some kind of ask that's very easy to follow. So in practice, it's really important to learn your audience. You can't spend too much time understanding who the buyers are, who the audience is, who the investors are. And as an example, I'll give you one that's specific to raising money. And I know that that's not something that you're all going to do, but if you ever do, it's really important to understand that. As an example, many times, and it happens to me 1,000 times, it seems like in a month, I'll get unsolicited emails from people who are looking to raise money from all over the world. We've got a venture fund, so they know we've got a venture fund. But rather than them spending just a little bit of time looking at the Cadron Capital Partners portfolio, which is readily available online, they're sending me stuff that they have to know, if they spend any time at all looking on the portfolio, that would be of no interest, stuff that's way outside the sector, the stage of things that would be of interest to them. They've just kind of shotgunned information out there, kind of a wasted effort. And the same thing is true when you're pitching to an audience. Really try to figure out who's out there, what they're going to be interested in, and why they would care. That audience analysis, understanding your ideal customer profile and whether or not that's who you're talking to, understanding your ideal investor profile and whether or not that's who you're talking to, really important. Really discerning, are they a key stakeholder? And you need to know it down to specifically what they do. You know, who's a technical decision maker or recommender, who's an influencer, who's an economic decision maker, kind of by identity and position. You need to understand that. And then you'll tailor your pitch to your audience by virtue of that. Now, what you will ultimately do over time is maybe have 2 or 3 different ways that you could even do your completely oral elevator pitch, depending upon who you're talking to. There's things you put in or things you take out, depending on the audience. And we got something in the chat there, Chris. I missed it? Check the chat. We might have had some comments there. We'll take a second here because I don't want to just continue to rapid fire through it.
Oh, we just got some comments about great advice on VC portfolios.
Gotcha. Perfect. All right, let's go on to the next one. Okay, we're going to get kind of a little bit wonky here on the Governor's Cup guidelines, because this is a little bit where we teach the test, just because it's important to understand it. Some of you may have already had some exposure to this, but we'll just review it for the sake of a completeness here. You'll have one member from your team that will present the team's business concept in 90 seconds. Now, if you were to compete in an Idea Fame elevator pitch, it'd be 60 seconds. So it's important to know how much time you have. you know, they'll cut you off. If you go 92 seconds, when you get to that 90th second, you're going to get the gong and they'll clap you off the stage. So you need to practice it in a way where 90 seconds is the maximum. There's no extra prize for going, you know, 89.5 seconds. If you can get it all done and it's convincing and use less time, good. But you got a maximum of 90 seconds and no more. So it's important to do that. And this will be at the Governor's Cup awards luncheon where you'll actually do this. This is where that presentation will occur. All the Governor's Cup participants can observe the elevator pitch, but will have no impact on the judge's score. And typically in the elevator pitch, it's a wisdom of the crowd, right? So they'll have a text-based voting application. Everybody that's there watching it will be able to vote one time. That's how that'll work. And this is one where it's no slides, no notes, no props allowed. So if you think you're going to show up there with cue cards or with your phone, not going to happen. You have to, it's just, you're kind of out there naked with your wits, you know, like clothes on, obviously, but just your wits, no props, no extra stuff. And it can be a little bit daunting, but if you practice sufficiently, it'll be no problem. And then it'll just be like automatic when you get up there to actually do it. The judges will choose the top 3 teams from each division to give an elevator pitch at the awards luncheon. The top 3 elevator pitch finalists will give their pitches to the attendees at the award luncheon on April 16th, and one winner from each track will be selected. It's a big deal. It's a huge event. Sometimes there's as many as 1,500 people that are at that awards luncheon, and it's a great time. And once you do that, any other time that you ever try to give an elevator pitch will seem like no big deal, because this one is definitely an exciting opportunity to get out in front of a lot of folks. Next one. So now I guess we can go ahead and get everybody a shot to try it. And so Chris, if you'd want to just call people out as we go through, that'd be great.
Let's see. I'll go with some people I know who I think have some elevator pitches probably ready. Josh, I see you on the call. Do you want to go ahead and share what you do with Hidalgo Technologies?
Yeah. Hey guys, mic check. Can you hear me?
Yep.
We can hear you.
Awesome. Every day, cancer patients wait weeks for insurance approvals before they can start treatment. These delays are expensive and life-threatening. I'm Joshua Upshaw, CEO of Hidalgo Technologies. With background in neuroscience, healthcare technology, and AI, my team and I are tackling this problem head on. Prior authorizations are a broken system. They're manual, slow, and they cost clinics millions of dollars while burning out their staff. Our software, Hidalgo, is an AI-powered platform that automates prior authorizations for specialty clinics. Instead of spending hours navigating fragmented systems, clinic teams use Hidalgo to process approvals faster, start treatment sooner, and reduce administrative costs. We're about to launch pilots with leading oncology clinics and begin our NSF SBIR-funded research to predict payer decisions before claims are even submitted. We're raising $500K pre-seed round to scale our pilots, optimize our models, and hit early revenue this year. If you're an investor, strategic partner, or know any clinic admins who need this solution, let's connect.
Now, how awesome was that? Now, you could probably tell, for those of you that are on, that Joshua's done this scores of times. Actually,
many times.
Yeah, a past successful Governor's Cup competitor, and he spent a lot of time in front of investors and others. That was a great example of how to do it well.
Thanks,
And
guys.
how it gets better every time I hear it, Josh. Like you keep fine-tuning it. That was really good.
Thanks, guys.
All right, let's see. What about Richard Rowe? Do you want to share your elevator pitch with us?
Yeah, Chris, I don't really have one to present. I'm just here kind of hiding in the corner to get Jeff's expertise, because I've really not participated in any elevator pitch webinars or anything. So I'm just kind of sitting here in the corner quietly.
No worries at all. I totally get it. Let's see. We've got Charday. Or how about Odell?
You know what? I'm kind of like Joshua, Richard, who was speaking previously. I just came on late. My schedule was in conflict of starting out from the beginning of this conversation. But the next time I come on, I definitely will have one. prepared.
No
No
worries.
worries. All right, I think we've heard from almost everyone at some point on the call, kind of share what they do. If anyone else wants to try out their elevator pitch real quick, or if you've had like a stroke of genius as we've been going through this and you want to change it up, we'll give you another like 5 seconds to chime in. All right. Any questions for Jeff on building your elevator pitch or the Governor's Cup or just kind of presenting your company? This is your open try to stump Jeff with a good question session.
And I got one final thing to kind of throw out there, and as we are in the age of AI, for those of you that might feel like you get sort of writer's block, or you can't think of how to piece together something that would be compelling. If you've got access to ChatGPT or any of the AI tools, don't hesitate to write a really compelling prompt to say, here's our business, design me a 90-second or a 60-second elevator pitch that hits kind of these key points that would be considered world-class by Y Combinator, Techstars, or pick whatever modifier you want, and just see what it comes up with. It's not going to be the final form of what you'd want to use, but one thing that AI is really tremendous for is getting you past the block of creating the words that you might actually use. You might want to modify it some, but we've used that very successfully for a variety of different things, like getting the initial draft on an executive summary going. So don't hesitate to kind of fool around a little bit with AI to see if it will come up with a good framework that you can then make better.
All right. Any questions from our audience today?
I do have a question. It's a quick question. How would you balance when talking, right? Because obviously when we're giving our pitch, we want to be professional, but at the same time, we want them to feel comfortable. How would you balance like the words that you choose and everything?
Yeah, I understand. And again, a lot of that depends on the audience of who you're speaking to. But I think making something that is uh, conversational and sounds more relaxed, so long as you hit those key points and you've got a nice cadence, I think that's fine. So long as it's something that holds together, where you've got all the components we talked about, making it seem a little less contrived, or a little less affected, or a little less formal sometimes can be really good. And if you are sort of a naturally funny person, adding in humor is good. If you're not, stay away from that. But adding those pieces in that make it seem like your authentic voice is really important. Don't try to do something that is different than what you would normally do based on your personality. Make it something that ties to your personality and the way you talk, the cadence of how you speak, how you convey things. Because superficiality and a lack of authenticity, people will see through. So you want to try to do it in a way that you're comfortable with, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
You bet.
Anyone else? All right. Well, I want to thank you all so much for joining us today. Just one final plug. If you are not an Arise client, if you are looking for some help, if you would like to have one-to-one coaching and consulting, help navigating access to capital or access to our subject matter expert network, we'd love to partner with you and support your startup. You can register at arisearkansas.org, and we will jump on a quick onboarding call and just kind of see where you're at and talk you through how the program could benefit your startup and help you grow and scale here in the natural state. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you, Jeff, for a great session together. And if you all would like to connect, you can visit our website. You can connect with us on LinkedIn. We'd love to talk with you more and learn about all the different startups that you're growing. Thank you all so much and have a wonderful day.
I have one
See you
final
all.
question. One final
Sure.
question. So I am an Arkansas-based startup, and I am a member of Arise. But I noticed that if you look at the prompt to how to apply, it says that tech and tech enable. And my startup is more health focused. Does that, I mean, is that in conflict with what I'm seeing here?
No, we have quite a few health tech and biotech companies that are enrolled in the program. For some context, we're working with Path Fertility, who spoke earlier in the call. They have developed a diagnostic test to identify male infertility and its causes. We work with a researcher out of Arkansas State named Beth Hood, who has a company that grows proteins inside of corn. So health tech, biotech, ag tech, all of that falls in the tech and tech enabled category.
Okay, got it. Thank you for that.
You
Yeah,
bet.
absolutely. We get that question a lot because that's it's a fuzzy labeling. It could mean a lot of different things. Basically, for the way we describe it is that if it's tech, most people are familiar. You know, the technology is your product. So like a SaaS company, software company, something along those lines. Tech enabled is almost Pandora's box, but if you are utilizing high tech and your platform or your product couldn't survive without it, that qualifies you for the program. So we even have a advanced plastics manufacturing company, a duck decoy company in Stuttgart called G&H Decoys that participates in the program. We have companies building AI tools and plugins, apps, and a little bit of everything and beyond. So it's a fun program that is really geared at all of Arkansas's tech companies, regardless of their stage, and even if it's an idea, all the way up through companies looking to make an exit. So we're here to help serve and connect sort of across that really big tech spectrum.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank y'all again. You have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon.
You all
Take care.
take care.